welcome to Muffin Talk.
Kia ora and welcome to Muffin Talk. This program is brought to you by the initiative Titi Paunamu, Study and Joy. My guest today is Debbie Miller, and Debbie is an active member of Beth Shalom, the Progressive Jewish Synagogue in Auckland. She's a lifetime student of Jewish studies. Debbie, a warm welcome and hi to our program.
Thank you for having me.
Debbie, we are now at the moment in the celebration of Sukkot, the Feast of the Tabernacles. Can you tell us more about this special feast in the Jewish community or in the Jewish tradition?
So Sukkot is a holiday that we celebrate the harvest. Actually, it's an agricultural holiday, and it's associated with the agricultural cycle in Israel. So we plant in Passover, which is in like May, April, and we harvest in Shavuot, and the grape festival harvest is in Sukkot. And so what we would do was we would go out into the fields, and we would build these booths because they had to work all the time. And then they would harvest them and they would bring back their first fruits and they would bring them to the Temple Mount for sacrifice, which is what we do with our first fruits. And so that it's the harvest holidays, literally, of the land of Israel, where the Jews formed into a people and a nation. There are other implications of this holiday as well, which is also mentioned in the Torah, the 5 books of Moses. When we came out of Israel, we lived, they say, in Sukkot. And we lived in these temporary dwellings, and we have just come through this incredible, life-changing, community-changing, nation-building experience of leaving slavery in Egypt and coming into and crossing the Reed Sea and being saved, and then we dwell in these Sukkot. And so it's considered having many different sides. Like many things in Judaism, there's more than one side to it. So it is a festival. It's supposed to be Azman Simchatenu, the time of our joy, is what it's talked about. It's also a harvest festival, and it's also a reading of the book of Kohelet, which is Ecclesiastes.
Mm-hmm.
And the words of Ecclesiastes are, which is vanity, vanity saith the one, vanities are vanities, all is vanity. So it's talking about this material society we live in, this society of it's full of hardships and things, but still in the depths of whatever despair that we go through, we should feel this joy, Zman Simchatenu, the time of our joy. So Sukkot is this festival, at least in Israel, you don't see it so much here, where everybody, religious and non-religious, builds these little temporary dwellings, and they decorate them with lights, and they have all sorts of kids make all sorts of decorations for their walls, and you're supposed to invite guests to the Sukkot to eat with you. It's a reasonable thing to do there because it's the time of the year before the rains start and everybody is having a nice time, inviting everybody into their sukkah. Sadly, it also finishes off with the festival of Simchat Torah, and Simchat Torah is the festival celebrating the ending of the Torah cycle of reading of the Torah, and you dance with the Torah, and it's this incredibly joyous time. And it also, this year, is the 1-year anniversary of the Simchat Torah massacre, where Gazans broke through and entered Israel and massacred 1,200 Israelis in all the kibbutzim and the Nova Festival And also, they took over 252 hostages back into Gaza, of which there's only 101 left. And on top of that, 3,500 people were injured during this massacre. So it is the worst massacre in the history of Israel. And it was incredibly violent, and the stories and the trauma of the people who've gone through it is really quite difficult, and there's nobody who's not affected by it. So it's a very conflicted um, time celebrating Simchat Torah, because we're supposed to be Zman Simchatenu, the time of our joy. And just like the book of Kohelet talks about, it is this incredible pull of the trauma of the massacre and the need to celebrate the end and the beginning again of reading of the Torah and be joyous. So how do you dance with the Torah when you're crying with your sorrow? It is a very conflicted experience.
We are currently still in Sukkot. And what does the word Sukkot mean? Does that mean tabernacle? Does it mean dwelling? What is
Dwelling. It's a temporary, it means temporary dwelling.
so why so Sukkot is for several days, right?
Sukkot is a week-long holiday. 7 days is what a week-long holiday is supposed to be. But they do an extra day because in ancient times they didn't know when the beginning and the ending of a holiday was, because it was around the world. We don't have those things, but we, as Jews, anytime we add an extra day for indecisive reasons or put a fence around fence, we we keep it. So we've kept it. But if you live in Israel, it's only a 7-day holiday.
Thank you so much, Debbie, for this information about Sukkot and the Feast of the Tabernacle, and for your reference to Ecclesiastes, which is also important for us.
It's actually really amazing that Ecclesiastes talks about this coping with the fact that life is incredibly problematic, and at the same time we still need to have joy. And it's so appropriate that it's the scroll that we read for this holiday. So I find it just blows my mind. And it also, I feel it personally relevant because it's also the anniversary this year of my son's death. So I feel like it just speaks to me so deeply.
Thank you very much for sharing this, Debbie. And I wish you all the best. And until our next interview, when we have another question about the Torah or about Jewish culture, Jewish traditions, Jewish religion. Thank you very much.
Out there, heroic peace is calling. In the bonds of love we meet. For the world a new day dawning, and shines a light to greet. We're singing, this is the day when the hope was calling. This is the day when the light did shine. This is the day when the